And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
That's right. We're live, and I'm in the red corner. That's why it's red back there. He's got a baseball uniform in front of him. I don't know what's going on. My man Josh Thompson is back in Texas. He actually made it with his new vehicle. What's up, my man?
Josh, turn your volume down.
I did. Sorry, I forgot. Yeah. Don't just say I have baseball behind me, dude. I got a legend behind me.
He is a legend.
Yes, he is.
Yes,
Don't
he
disrespect this man.
I'm not disrespecting him, but it's baseball.
Put some respect on his name.
Baseball been very, very good to you.
Oh, put some respect on his name. All right. So, hey, man, I want you guys all to know we are live streaming across every platform. Dave has hooked us up and done us a solid. He's got us on Kick. He's got us on Rumble. He's got us on Twitch. He's got us on
We got to change the name, dude. It's not
you guys are
Podcast
having
Dave
problems
anymore. It's Media Dave.
It's Media. That's what I like. That we'll just call him Media Dave.
Media
It's
Dave.
a good name, better than Podcast Dave. Producer Dave, Podcast Dave. What do you like? Do you like Podcast Dave? Dave?
Yeah, Podcast Dave.
You like that one?
By the way, we are live in IG, but it's only on our IG, not your two's, because it's just the whole thing. I got to explain it to you later.
We'll get that figured. We'll try to get that figured out by now. I shouldn't say. I always say we as if like
We,
it's me
yeah.
doing it. I mean, today I was having a hard time just logging into my Instagram today, let alone trying to set up anything. So, hey, the brains behind it all, though, is the guy right there in the top corner there. So,
That's right. That's right. You keep on saying it. Top corner. You said top corner.
You're in the bottom corner.
No, I'm in the top corner on mine. So that's all I know, and that's all that
If I don't
matters.
see it, I don't believe it. If a tree falls in the woods, it didn't make any noise. That's how it works around here, buddy. Oh man, let's have some fun with this, man. We're gonna talk obviously UFC on ESPN. What is it? 64, 60? What is it?
Oh,
UFC Vegas. Sorry,
Las
UFC
Vegas
and
is in
ESPN.
Mexico City.
Yeah, sorry. ESPN.
Man, it's not
Those
Vegas.
poor bastards have to go fight in Mexico. Every time I see that, I go, "Oh man,
That sucks, man. That sucks.
Start training with a straw."
I want to remind you guys we offer, because you know what, Dave Sandine just signed up for our membership. I want to remind you guys we offer a $4.99 membership, a $1.99 membership. John and I will be doing giveaways, and we got to just come up with something for the giveaways. I actually am going to scroll through our memberships right now.
What is some of
And
them?
how many? I mean, like, look, I'm going to go through the memberships, and I'm basically just going to pick out a couple names out of there and send you guys off a box of Element. So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to hit it all up. I'm going to send you guys off a box of Element. I want to thank you guys so much for being committed to us. Those of you guys that have been members from the very beginning, I'm going to take those top 5 people and give you guys, and we're going to send you guys some Element, man. I want to thank you guys for always supporting us. John and I are very thankful. And it means a lot that you guys continue to tune in on Tuesday nights. You guys are up early Sunday mornings asking me where the pod is. We do the best we can to get it out as fast as possible. You know, sometimes there's some hiccups. We're traveling, all of those things. But I want to let you guys know we really love doing this show for you guys. So this is going to be some fun. We'll talk about the UFC ESPN 64 Mexico City. We're going to talk about that. But you know what, Dave, do you want to do the welterweight stuff first, or you want to do the fight card first?
Probably the welterweight, just because it's fallout from the event, and that way the flow is a bit better. But you guys, if you guys want to switch it up, feel free.
And I think we also go with the hot topic, man. John, I tried to say this on Saturday, or whenever when we filmed on Saturday, I was trying to say it, man. The reality of it all is, if Sean Brady got enough to leapfrog Shavkat, would he get the next title shot? All indications are that he's probably going to get the next title shot.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I didn't think he was going to jump that far, and you did. You said that you thought he was going to go to 1. I thought he was going to go to 2, and you were right. You know, but again, this isn't like, this is the UFC's rankings, and they can do with them as they wish. And they're looking at, why am I going to rank a guy who is unable to fight right now in Shavkat? Why am I going to rank him above a guy that can fight when I can put the number 1 contender in a title fight, possibly, depending upon, what happens with JDM and Belal. So, like, if right now, if you're Sean Brady, you are sitting and a nice little piece of land, man. You are happy. You have all you got to do is sit there and go, just give me what you want.
Yeah.
Just give me what you want, and I'll take it.
Look, I know that the champion needs to be able to fight anybody anytime. You know, I love the Islam, Khabib. I love how they're just like, hey, I'll take Belal has that mentality too. If I'm the champ, whoever you guys put in front of me, I take that fight, and that's who it is. I really enjoy champions like that. You
That's
know,
part of being a champion. That's what you're supposed to,
Absolutely.
because look at you. Who are you supposed to be running from? Who are you supposed to be ducking? You're the champ.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think when you get to this point though, Sean Brady's talked about, he said, you know, there was some comments made. Look, I'll take the winner, and then I'll take Shavkat if that's the case. I prefer, and I think the UFC prefers, not to get rid of two #1 contenders. I don't think you're going to see Shavkat and Sean Brady fight. It just doesn't make sense. You know,
No,
it lines
right
up
now.
exactly who would be next for Sean Brady or Belal, whoever wins that fight, or if JDM gets in there and he beats Belal, it lines up whoever's going to be next after the Sean Brady fight. You cannot get rid of Shavkat. You want to have him have a 0 in his name, in his record as he
Yep.
gets there.
Yep.
So it really does make sense for the UFC to throw Sean in there. I don't know how long Shavkat's going to be out. From what I heard, it was his foot from the injury. I'm not sure how fast that'll recover, if it's already recovered, he's back to training or not. All of those things being said, either way, I don't think their decision was made based off of his injury or anything along those lines. I think it was made just strictly off of the performance. Sean Brady's last two performances were actually three. His last three performances were fantastic. The Kelvin Gastelum fight, and then the Gilbert Burns fight, and then the finish of Leon Edwards. I mean, he finished Kelvin Gastelum as well.
Who else has finished Leon?
I mean, outside of his
Nobody.
one loss, he hadn't lost in 10 years.
Nobody's
No one's ever finished him?
No one's ever
I
submitted
didn't
him.
look back. I didn't look back that far, but I mean,
That's the
it
first
was
time he's
truly
ever been
remarkable.
submitted.
That was remarkable. And I want to just continue to say, like, I people think that I have this thing against Shavkat. I've always said this though. For me, guys like him and guys like Chimaev, the verdict is not out yet for me. Like, I haven't seen enough on them to say, hey, you deserve a title shot. I know they're good. That's not what I'm saying. Just I want to see more. In the Shavkat situation, his toughest fight was Jeff Neal, and then the Ian Gary fight was a snooze fest. I think it's hard for any, like, the hype of hardcores is going to jump on the bandwagon and be like, yo, he's undefeated. He's 19-0. Sean Brady is 18-1. Like, there's and if you take it with like who they have fought recently and who has the better record, or not better record, but who has fought the tougher competition the last three fights, it's going to go to Sean Brady. So if I'm looking at who's got the ball rolling and who's had success and somebody that's been active, I'm going to take Sean Brady as my title contender. Someone that's going to step in and fight for the title next. Shavkat he hasn't been as active as I would like him to be. And also, too, outside of the hardcores, the buzz is not really what it was when he first kind of came in, when he was finishing everyone in the first round. There was so much buzz around him, like how there was with Chimaev. Then Chimaev got COVID, and then all the pullouts and all of those things. It kind of affected his stock. Couldn't get a visa into the country. It didn't affect his stock for the hardcores, but it's affecting his stock for the casuals and for the fans for the celebrities that talk about the UFC. They're like, oh man, what happened to that guy with the beard and the guy
with the beard?
I mean, I've had people reach out to me and go, hey, what happened to that guy that was really good wrestler,
Roy Nelson.
And I'm like, and they thought, and I'm like, Habib? I'm like, oh, he retired. No, not him. And this other guy, they couldn't think of his name, but they keep talking about him. I'm like, yeah, but they don't remember like what his name was and who he is and when he's fighting. So the hype is not what it was when he first came out with Chimaev. And I'm going to say the same thing with Shavkat. Sean Brady right now, 3 good wins, 2 of them being finishes. Has the storyline writes itself because he's only lost in his career is to who? The current
Muhammad.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the quite a lot of people, in talking to me, they said, but I've already seen it. He lost to Belal. And I'm like, okay. And my response to it was simple. I said, look, that was up to that point, that was Belal's best performance ever in the octagon. He fought a beautiful fight. And it was also Sean Brady's worst performance. You never know. I said, you can go back and look and take a look at what was happening in the Belal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards the first fight that ended as a no contest. Look, it wasn't a good night in the beginning for Belal. He was having a hard time with, Edwards, and then take a look at when he fought him for the championship just a little bit later, completely different. You never know. You can't sit there and go, well, because, I've seen that fight. You have not seen them as champion and challenger. And when you've seen that, then you can talk about, what's going to happen. Right now, Sean Brady is riding a very nice new win streak. He is performing better than we've ever seen. That performance against Leon Edwards is the best performance he's ever had, because he was dominant against a guy that we know is good. We know how good Leon Edwards is, and we know that he can grapple. But we also knew that, there's levels to everything, and Sean Brady's level in grappling is way above most of the people that Leon had competition against. And so if Sean Brady gets him to the ground, it's going to be a tough night for him. And it wasn't even hard. It was easy for him. The second round, I thought we never even talked about the scorecards or anything. The second round had to be a 10-8.
Nope, no 10-8s were given.
And that's bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. You're going to sit there and tell me that there wasn't damage? He beat the shit out of him. And Leon Edwards had zero offense.
Yeah.
You have zero offense for 5 minutes. You don't deserve 9. I'm sorry. It's one of those. You take a look. That was an outstanding performance for Brady. And so I can understand why the UFC is like, yep, I'd like to see. Let me see those scores right there.
Yeah.
Boy.
No 10-8 rounds from what I read.
Not good.
Yep.
Not good.
Yeah, John, I look at this fight and I think to myself, he had a great performance, dominant performance, and everyone was obviously making excuses for Leon right off the bat. Not excuses in like, oh, he had a bad night, this and that. No, it was like, oh, he was never that good. That's a bunch of shit.
No, he's
you don't
good.
go that long being undefeated after, when he lost to Kamaru Usman the first time, and then come back and then get 2 wins against Kamaru Usman, who everyone considered to be the one of the greatest welterweights of all time. It doesn't happen. And then all of a sudden, 2 fights later, you're not that good anymore. No, we have talked about this. Fighters study the guy that's at top. They study the guys that are ranked ahead of them. That's all their focus is. All I see is forward. All I see is my success going through that person's life.
That's right.
That's it. How do I get through that person? Okay, he's good at wrestling. Okay, I'm going to work more on my takedown defense and keeping it on my feet. He's good at jiu-jitsu. Work more on my sprawling and my wrestling. He's great in stand-up. I'm going to take this guy down. I just focus on how they set things up. I know I'm fighting a southpaw. Work more on shooting on the other side of the leg. Dipping out on one side, shifting, hitting the body, then throwing the head kick. Any of those things, right? Along those lines, you're looking to beat somebody that's ranked ahead of you. And how do you do that? It's by preparing yourself a little bit when you're not in camp for a fight for somebody that you're fighting. I look at Belal Muhammad and I think to myself, he should beat JDM. But for some reason, JDM is that guy. He's just that guy that finds ways to win.
Tough. He's tough.
He is super tough.
Yeah.
And so I'm not ruling JDM out of this fight. Now, I think Belal potentially mauls him, gets him down, controls him, presses him the fence, dirty box. And
if he doesn't do those things, it's not going to be an easy night on the feet for him.
No, I'm looking. I think what Belal is going to do is if he stands, which he says he's going to stand, he's like, no, I'm going to knock him out. Okay, maybe he's going to stand with him quite a bit. But why make the fight more difficult when you know it's your title?
Yeah.
There's no reason to. I know that he can control the top position. We've seen JDM get taken down. I look at this fight and I go to myself, look, JDM is someone he's going to rip the body. He's going to come back up top. And, he's going to try to keep his back off the fence and he's going to do work. And Belal's going to have to make sure that he's not allowed to do that. He's going to make him fight off of his back leg. Can he do that? I think Belal can do that to almost anybody. So now that's where I go out of the JDM. I'm leaning more towards Belal. No disrespect to JDM. Got a lot of love for him. He's a great fighter, man. I love watching him fight. He's one of the most exciting fighters in the weight class. But you got Belal and what he's been able to do lately, and I'm not going to rule against the champion because how many times have everyone kind of ruled him out and he's come out on top?
True.
Oh, no, he's going to lose this fight. Oh, no, he's going to lose this fight. Oh, you were doing this. No, he's going to get it done. So if he does get it done against JDM, I think the Sean Brady situation writes itself. The story itself is something the UFC can sell. His one loss has been to the champ. Belal had a great performance. Let's not forget that fight, I believe, was in Abu Dhabi or Riyadh or somewhere.
No, it was in Abu Dhabi.
It was in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So Sean had talked about, other people had talked about, look, and I've been over there and I wasn't even fighting when I was over there. It's a difference. You feel a little bit sluggish. The air is dry. There's a little bit more dust in the air than you would like, if you're walking around getting things, and it's just a different experience. It's not bad by any means. I actually really enjoyed it over there, but it's just different. Making sure your sleep times are on track. And it's one of the most difficult things to do when you're amped up, you're the main event, you know who you're fighting. There's a lot going through your mind that week of. So mentally preparing yourself. I'm going to lean a little bit more towards that because he just came back with 3 very dominant performances since that loss. And like I said, this fight writes itself, John.
It absolutely. Your entire marketing thing is set for you. The storyline is there for you. All the whole thing about, the great performance by Belal and then winning the championship. And now this guy's coming back to try one more time against him. All of it. You look and you go, it's just there for you. It's one of those, I love seeing when guys hit that stride. And when it's not only the confidence that you can see in when they go out into the cage, it's the results. Just then you get that confidence that just builds and builds and builds. And both of them right now, look at Belal's riding a huge win streak, and Brady is, on that win streak, and Brady wants to prove that was a fluke. So it's exactly what you're looking for. If you're the UFC and you're saying what's the best that we can put on right now, even they'd still be happy if JDM wins, because that's still a good fight. But the better story is the one with Belal.
Okay. So do you have JDM fight Shavkat then in the meantime if he does lose? Do you have Belal fight Shavkat in the end if he loses, and then Sean fight the champ? Or I don't think this would happen. I don't think they're going to get rid of one number 1 contender by having Sean Brady and Shavkat fight. It doesn't make any sense.
No, I don't see that. When you have someone like Shavkat and they're in that position of undefeated, you're not looking to give him a loss. If he's going to get a loss, you're looking to have that loss in that championship fight. And so they're not going to be looking to try to get him, a loss. When if JDM wins, could I see Belal against Shavkat? Yeah, you could, because Brady would definitely be the next in line to take on JDM. That would be his first title defense. So, right now JDM is 7-0 in the UFC. He's had some close ones. He had that one with Basil Chavez, that was the last minute replacement. So he had a hard time with that. It was a split decision, and it was a tough fight. I thought he pulled it out, but man, it was close. It was a tough one. He got the split against Holland, and then he had the very nice win against Gilbert Burns. But you take a look, you cannot say anything about him not performing in the UFC. Everybody they put in front of him, he's gone out there. Sometimes it's been really impressive. Sometimes it's been really tight, but he's always come up with the win.
Oh, I agree, man. Look, if you were to lay this out though, John, and take out of those 3 titles, Dave, pull up that flyer you just had up, where Sean Brady says he'll take I would be interested in the loser of the title fight at UFC 315, the winner of the title fight, or Shavkat.
The title what?
The title fart. The title fight. I'm human, man. Come on, everyone.
You like AOC, man? She said it too. Everyone was making fun of her.
Yeah, it just kind of sometimes
just
comes out. Just comes out. All right, give it to me. So, if you were to lay this out though for you in an ideal world, how would you have this done? If you were making the pitch on Saturday, Shavkat's still there. They've already offered it to him. He got injured, and then I said, "Don't be surprised if Sean goes over."
Yeah, you were right.
No, I'm not trying to focus on the fact that I was right. I already know that. Okay, but I'm simply trying to say, in the ideal world, though, John, would you prefer the Shavkat fight over Belal, or is there no preference for you, or there is a preference for you?
No, I look at it from the promoter's view. And this is where you've got to be smart about things. And you look and you say, okay, Belal, going to be 37 years of age. All right. If I take a look at Belal and he loses, am I looking to try to get him back into that title picture? Not really. Not at 30, not at 37 years of age. Same thing with Kamaru Usman. I know that, Kamaru is a great fighter, great champion. When he held the title, he was pound for pound #1 for it. But he's 38 now, almost 39? Or is he 39, almost 40? Somewhere right in there. So that's another one you're looking, you go, do I want a guy that's, 39, 40 years of age fighting for the title? Not really, because I know that that's not something I can build on. I look at Jack Della Maddalena, 28 years of age. I look at Sean Brady, 32 years of age. Those are the guys that I want fighting for the title. Those are the ones that I can push for a while. Those are the guys that even if they lose, I still have something to work with. They're still going to be there for a run at it. Shavkat, same thing. So those are the three guys that I'm going to sit there and say, who am I going to focus on? I want to focus on the ones that are going to be there for a while for me. Yeah. I don't want to focus on the ones that are right at the edge of starting to be, kind of looking, out the door as far as the career is going to be coming to an end. And I know that's not nice to say. It's just a matter of truth. So.
No, I agree. So, but you didn't answer my question. How would you see this line up? Who do you want to see fight, John?
Well, obviously, hold on. Don't push. It really depends on who wins. Belal and JDM are going to fight at 315, right? So that's a month away. Okay, so they're going to fight. It really depends on who wins. It really does.
What do you want to see, John? I don't care who wins. What do you want to see? That's what my question was.
I would love to see in the end if Belal
politics.
If Belal wins,
on a question like a son of a bitch.
If Belal wins, I want to see Sean Brady getting that shot against Belal in a rematch because I think it writes its own story.
Gotcha.
If JDM wins, then I think Sean Brady deserves the shot at it based upon his performances in his last 3 fights, and especially his performance against Leon. So, like I said at the beginning, I think Sean Brady is sitting there saying, just bring it to me. Whatever. Yeah. I don't care. And that's the right attitude to have. I don't care who it is. I want the title shot. Just give it to me.
Yeah, I look at it the same way. This is a great opportunity for him to just keep the ball rolling. Whoever gets inside the cage next is going to have the success. And I look at Sean. He's been so active. He's been willing to step in there. He wanted the Leon fight. He was begging for it, basically. He had talked about it on our podcast. Yeah. We had him on, and he came to fruition. Almost didn't, but it did.
Manifested it, dude. What are you talking about? He manifested it.
So, I look at either one of those fights to me is an exciting fight. I'd like to see Belal and Shavkat fight. I want to slide Brady in for the title shot, though. And if Belal loses to JDM, then I'd like to see Belal and Shavkat. Because the reason why I say that is I'm looking beyond. As I'm putting my matchmaker hat on here, John. If let's say Belal wins against JDM, you put Sean Brady in there. Say Sean wins and Belal falls out. Okay, he's going to have to beat Shavkat to get in there. And if Shavkat or Belal does win, I don't care if he's 38 years old. Now we have the trilogy fight between Sean Brady and Belal. So they can work with that. You may lose the guy that has the O on his record. That may suck. Maybe, I don't know how you would do it, but like Belal stepping out of there after defending the title, once against JDM and then losing to Sean if he did. If he does beat Sean, then you mix him in with Shavkat, obviously, right away. And then you probably have JDM and Sean Brady fight. As a matchmaker, you've got to think 2, maybe even 3 fights ahead.
But
you can't think one.
You can also look and say, right now, you got Kamaru Usman sitting there. Belal and Kamaru have had some words back and forth, so you've got something that's kind of been put there.
True.
You're looking at both former champions. If Belal did lose, you'd have 2 former champions taking on each other. One's going to continue to move forward. One's going to be dropping way back. It kind of sets the stage for you, and they would both be coming off of losses. So you're getting one a win. That makes sense too. And that way you're saving Shavkat.
If JDM loses, where does he go? I say he goes to Ian Gary or Buckley. Him and Buckley would be a fantastic fight.
Him and Buckley would be a fantastic fight. I agree. Yeah, that would be exciting. Buckley likes to stand and bang. He throws heavy shots. He's quick enough and strong enough he could take JDM down at times. JDM could try to fight it off. It'd be a great matchup.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think the welterweight division is coming along.
Oh no, they got some studs that are now.
Yeah, they've got some
Right
good
now?
fighters. Yep. I'm excited. Like if I'm looking at these rankings right now, John, you got Sean Brady at number 1, Shavkat at number 2, Leon dropped to number 3, Kamar Usman, he dropped out of number 3 into number 4. You got JDM who's fighting for the title. You got Buckley, Ian Gary, and then just kind of goes back into like some of the older guys. You got Gilbert Burns, Covington, and Jeff Neal and Stephen Thompson. But then you got these young 2 kids, man, here at the end, number 12 and number 13, Michael Morales and Carlos Prates.
Yeah.
Those guys can look to make a run.
Carlos Prates
he's tough, man.
He's tough. He's good. Look at Morales is very young and he's very athletic, but you can see a lot of holes and he's just got he's got time that he needs to, work on some things, but he's super athletic, super fast. He's got a hell of a future. But Prates right now, that dude, he's trouble.
Yeah, he's got a fight coming up. Who's he matched up against? Does. Do you know who? Can you pull up and see who he's matched up with? If you guys know in the comments, who's Prates is matched up already right now. I can't remember who he's fighting, but I'd like to see Prates and Ian Gary or Prates and JDM or Joaquin Buckley. This welterweight division with the younger studs, you're going to start to see them trying to change over, and you're going to have some guys in there that it's going to be some. There you go, Carlos Prates and Jeff Neal. That's a good challenge right there.
Yeah.
Jeff Neal's tough. We saw that against Shavkat.
That's on the pay-per-view coming up.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that fight. Okay, so what else you got for us, Dave?
All right, we can talk about this fight card then.
All right, let's go. Let's talk about the fight card. John, this is in Mexico City, and you love when fighters fight in Mexico City. There's been some horrific stories out of Mexico City. What's the altitude, like 14,000?
That's close.
It's close, right?
It's 72.
Oh, it's not 14,000?
Jesus Christ, are you kidding? Who's going to fight at 14,000?
I don't know.
You get altitude sickness at 14,000.
I thought they said it was at 14,000.
Oh my God.
Still tall as hell.
7,000 is. Look at Denver is the mile high city at 5,200. This is 2,000 feet above that.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
It is a nightmare to go and fight in Mexico City.
That's Cain Velasquez, man.
Horrible. Yeah.
Oof. I mean, that's where he lost his title to Verdum, and I honestly believe had that fight been anywhere else, he would have kicked Verdum's ass.
Possible.
I mean, all the guys that were known for having great cardio, they all suffered in that event.
Oh,
all of them. Eddie Alvarez, Gilbert Burns. I mean, Gilbert Melendez.
Gilbert Melendez, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like these guys were struggling. I think that was the first night Yair Rodriguez made his real official UFC debut, correct?
Yeah, I think it was in the one of the tough finales.
Yeah,
it was
I believe.
Couple. Yeah.
Anyways, but okay, let's go ahead and talk. You got Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg.
I look at this and first off, Brandon Moreno's used to the altitude, but he really trains here in the States for the most part, so it's not going to really. Hopefully, he went up to Mexico City early and did a lot of training up there. But Brandon Moreno is the guy that's been there, done that, and that's the way you got to look at him. And Erceg is good. He is a talented fighter. He's got very good stand-up. He's tough, but he's never reached that point of, you're the guy. Brandon Moreno has, and he's done it several times. So Brandon Moreno is the guy, if you're looking to be the one that's, the favorite in this, he's got to be your favorite. And the fact that Erceg is going into, I don't know when he went up to Mexico City, but man, he better have done it at least a month out, because if he didn't, he's going to feel the pain because his lungs are going to burn because there's no oxygen up there. And that's going to have an effect on him, being 125 pounds and everything. And, we never worry about 125 pounders as far as their cardio, really. This is one you can worry about your cardio because it will go away from you. It will tax you to the point that I say you're sucking through a straw. Mm-hmm. It's a horrible experience when you're fighting there and you're in shape and you're just dying.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a couple training camps out in Denver, it was rough the first 2 weeks, you know, getting your runs and every day. But when you're really focused on trying to get your cardio going, I also had a hypoxico, like a high altitude simulator that I used for every single one of my fights. I was one of the first guys to get it. I also had this thing called Alto Labs, which is like another portable one that you could travel with that I used everywhere I went. And so I know that the simulation of both of those will get me up to about 11 to 12,000 feet. So I could use that and take it with me and make it portable. And it helped out a lot. So when I think of guys fighting over Mexico City, I think to myself, either get out there really early, get your camp in pretty much your last 4 weeks in there, make sure you're doing your running on a daily basis, opening up those lungs and really working your muscles. A lot of not lifting, but a lot of actual functional movements with some weight on it. Just to get your muscles and get those red blood cells pumping into those muscles so you can actually get oxygen into your muscles as you're fighting. Bottom line is that Brandon Moreno right now, I look at him and like he's on his way back to the title. Can he get it done though? I mean, what have they fought 4 times already? Him in Pantoja.
Yeah.
How many times have they fought? 3 or 4?
I want to say they fought at least 3.
Yeah.
One, Pantoja and Moreno, yeah.
Yeah.
1, 2.
Is it 2?
Unless it goes back this far.
Well,
but
they fought in the Ultimate Fighter also.
Only
and
2. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's fought Ray Vol. He's fought him a couple times as well. He's fought Figgy a couple times. He's fought Figgy 3 times.
a few times, 4 times.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
His whole career has been a bunch of rematches.
Oh yeah.
So look, I look at Erceg. Erceg is a very tough guy. He's extremely tough. He's very skillful also. Just the dog in Brandon Moreno, I think is going to get it done.
Yeah.
The ability to do everything that Erceg does. I mean, outside of, Brandon just getting clipped coming in, because Brandon does leave himself open quite a bit. He slings kind of wide with his hooks. Sorry. His stand up, and that leaves himself open. And Erceg is pretty tight with his stand up. Sorry, guys.
But Brandon is a lot more elusive than people give him credit for. He has a unique style. It's his style, and it works for him. And he's in that position where he can usually determine where the fight's going to go in the fight. He's actually very quick when it comes to getting his takedowns. He's good at his body positioning on the ground. He rides well. He puts a lot of pressure for a smaller guy. And one thing with Erceg's tall, but he's easy to get into for that takedown. So I look at he's the guy that, in my opinion, that he's got the uphill battle. Not that he can't win. He's talented, but Brandon Moreno has got to be the favorite in this one.
Sorry. All right. Well, hey, before we move on to the co-main event, I want you guys to join us over at OnlyFans. Follow us over there. It is free. Subscribe to us on the OnlyFans platform. Also, go to betustv.com, betustv.com. Check out all their sports and available content on betustv.com. I want to thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. Let's go ahead and jump right into the co-main event.
I'm looking right now at the odds. I'm gonna go back to that. It was
John, we're gonna do it after.
Yeah,
all together.
Got it.
I text Dave. Let's go ahead and talk about Manuel Torres versus Drew Dober.
Man, we all know how tough Drew Dober is, and we what he does well. Now, he's a guy that does live in the Denver area, and he does train out of Denver, Colorado. But he's even where he's at, he's still gonna have to go there and deal with a little bit higher elevation and stuff. But Manuel Torres is good. He is a solid, tough fighter. He's known as El Loco, and he's that guy that he gets submissions, he gets KOs. He's good everywhere. He lost his, the last fight that he had was against Bahamondes, who we just saw recently, and that was at the Sphere event. And he got caught, and it was expected to be a really close and well-matched fight. He got caught and, hit the ground, and Bahamondes was able to finish him. But he's got wins against guys like we just saw Chris Duncan. We know how good he is. He was able to choke out Chris Duncan. So this guy is good, and it's a matter of, can Drew control the distance and really start to light him up, kind of like he did when, he was fighting Bobby Green or King Green, since he changed his name, but when he's fighting King Green and Green was getting off on him, finally Drew bit down the mouthpiece, says, I need to step inside that range and press him and get into him. Well, he's going to have to do the same thing in this fight. If he does not press Torres and create problems for him as far as range and everything, and keep the fight on the feet, if you're Drew, it's going to be a hard night for him.
Yeah, I would agree too. Look, Drew Dober coming off of the 2 losses as well to Jean Silva and Hanato. So I think I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, Dober's going to have to get back in the win column. So is Torres. They both of them need to fight a very tough fight. Dober is somebody that is just tough. He's just hard to finish.
Yep.
He fights wild. He always gets beat up though, John. Like in terms of, he's always taking damage.
Yes, he is.
I love watching him fight. He's a very exciting fighter. His fight against Bobby Green, he was getting pieced up in the first round, made the adjustments, came back out in the second, had a great performance with a good win. But, he lost to Matt Frivola. He lost to Hanato. He lost to Jean Silva. He had some good wins, though, in the middle there. He had Rafael Alves and Bobby Green and Terrence McKinney, all 3 guys he beat. He's fun to watch. But if I'm looking at the style of Torres, he's kind of got the style to get it done against Dober.
Yep.
It just really comes out, and Dober has to figure out how to get past his reach, I think, and he can slide his head offline and get inside. I think he'll have some success, but he's going to have to make it a dog fight. Like in that mix, he's going to have to wrestle a little bit. He's going to have to get inside that close boxing range. He can't be on the outside. He's got to fight him in a phone booth to make it a dirty fight if he wants to get the win. So it's going to be a nasty fight. I think it's going to be a fun fight, though. It's a good co-main event.
It's a great fight, but it's a matter of you're looking at it and you're going, damn, you finally got a co-main event, man. They put you against the guy. The dude's a killer. He's tough. And coming off of those 2 losses, it's got to be in the back of, Drew's mind a little bit. Hey, man, I got to get this done. Does that help him or does that put more pressure on him? We're going to find out.
Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer.
Man, this is one of those. Joe Pyfer is strong. He hits like a truck.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of KOs, a lot of TKOs, only a couple of submission wins on his record and stuff. But going against the guy that I call the Roberto Duran of MMA, Gastelum jumps up and down at 185, tries to go down to 170. He's the tweener guy, but Kelvin Gastelum is used to guys that hit hard. He's used to guys that, try to push him around and stuff. He's got a gas tank. He may, it kind of reminds me of the Paul Buentello look a little bit, doesn't have the 6-pack, but he doesn't need it because he's got a keg there that's full of gas and he just keeps going. I think this is a difficult fight for Pyfer if he cannot get hit and done in the first round. If he doesn't get Gastelum out of there in the first round, it's going to start going downhill for Pyfer as far as just the altitude, and the guy that he is fighting just keeps coming forward on you. So Pyfer, in my opinion, first round, he could definitely get it done. He hits hard. He's tough. It gets past the first round, start looking towards Kelvin Gastelum.
Got it. Interesting. I'm leaning more towards Joe Pyfer. I think he's fixed that solution. Remember that problem he had, I think, against Jack Hermanson? It was
Jack Hermanson, yeah.
He just got tired.
Yeah.
And I just think you're going to see something different out of him. I think he's going to push the pace. He's going to have good cardio. He'll be able to get it done. The thing is I think he learned a lot from the Hermanson fight. Just understanding that, like, he trains with Sean Brady. He trains with these guys. Like, and, they were talking about how, like, he's got cardio. He pushes, the pace. He does all these things. I think the moment got him in that fight with Jack Hermanson. This is a different situation. He's not the main event. He's not the co-main event. But in this situation here, I think he'll be able to keep control of Gastelum and be able to try and slow it down a little bit. He's got this physical size. He's
definitely got the size.
He's got all those things. He hits really hard.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if he's going to knock Kelvin out, but I think he'll be able to win at least 2 rounds.
Well, when you look at Kelvin Gastelum and you look at the people that have beaten him, take a look, and it's what do they always beat him by? You know, usually it's a submission.
Yeah.
Now he'll get decisions against him, but he doesn't get, for the most part, knocked out.
Mhm.
He's had really close ones. The one he had in the championship fight with Israel Adesanya. What a freaking war it is. That was an incredible fight. But I understand why you're looking at him and kind of saying, he's had some tough fights, but he had the Sean Brady fight. How did he lose? Kimura. And that's, if you're going to get him out of there, that's the way. Now, he didn't look great in his Daniel Rodriguez fight, but he got it done. And that's what I'm looking for against Pfeiffer. Look, you need to push the pace, but don't worry about winning in that first round, but make Pfeiffer work. And I do go off of the Hermansson fight because his Pfeiffer's next fight was against Marc-Andre Barrios, and he got him out of there in the first round, right? So didn't show that he's got that cardio that's going to show me that, okay, yeah, you got that fixed. And I'm telling you, nothing against him. 7,200 feet. That's against him. That's it's like putting handcuffs on your lungs.
I hate to say this. Sadly, when you take fights in Mexico City or in like Salt Lake City or in Denver, I almost feel like the altitude decides the fights more.
Sometimes it does.
And so when you're talking about possibly wagering some money or doing whatever it is, on these fights, or having somebody that you're close to that you're watching fight, you're thinking to yourself, damn, this whole thing can be decided because of the altitude. The altitude can be like, look, today I'm going to bite that guy in the ass. And he's going to go down with altitude sickness, shit his pants, and probably throw up in the back a couple of times. And then, we're going to figure out how good he is. That's shitty. That's literally a shitty situation sometimes. John, there's been people
there's been shitty situations
inside the cage because of the altitude. That's disgusting. Yeah. I've seen him do it without the altitude, but I mean,
so have I.
Look, I think this is gonna be a great fight, though. It's a good test for Joe Pfeiffer against Kelvin Gastelum. He's tough, he's gritty. He's gonna have to dig deep if he doesn't get him out of there, like you said in the first round. I think the Hermansson fight was only based on the fact it was the biggest fight of his career at the time. And I think a little bit of that adrenaline dump happened. I think he's gotten over that now. Like,
be the main event his first time, it's tough.
It'll be a tough fight, but the altitude, that's where I want to know. Is the altitude gonna get him? You got tired when it wasn't at altitude.
That's the whole thing.
I guess we're gonna find out. But look, it also affects people that have good conditioning. Cain Velasquez is known for his cardio. He got to Mexico City,
it killed him.
He got there 2 weeks early.
And it killed him.
It wasn't enough. And it destroyed him. Let's go ahead and go Rojas Jr. versus Vince Morales.
Look, we all know, that Rojas Jr. is the future that the UFC is trying to mold him and get in there. He's 10-1. He had his one loss happen in the UFC. Vince Morales is a good, solid fighter. He just has not had a good UFC run.
Yeah.
He fights out of syndicate with John Wood. He's a solid fighter everywhere. It's just that this is a tough matchup for him. On the ground, Rosas is exceptional. He understands, his body positioning. He sets things up. He doesn't just go for the submission. He sets it up first, gets himself in place, and then goes and works for it. He's good with it. His stand-up is getting better all the time. I don't think the UFC put him on this card looking for him to have trouble with this fight.
Okay. Yeah, I think that they're looking. I met him over in he was here in Dallas. Does he live nearby? Where does he train at? Yeah, he was here in Dallas for one of the fights, one of the Fury fights. So I went down there with Rich Chow. We were watching a couple of the guys from Kill Cliff fight. It was a good little card, good little action-packed fight. I didn't know this. Maybe you knew this. Grant Hill, his daughter fights. The former basketball player.
Really?
Yeah, played at Duke and then ended up playing for...
Who was Grant Hill's father?
Probably some guy named Hill.
Oh, man. His dad's name was Calvin Hill. And he was a running back for the Dallas Cowboys.
I knew he was an athlete. I knew that. I didn't know that. I couldn't remember what sport.
Yep.
Yeah, I never lived
Number
in Dallas.
35.
Number 35. He was a running back.
Yep.
Was he good?
Player. Yeah, he was really good.
Nice. Super Bowls.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense that he
He
lives
played.
here.
He played when Starbuck was the quarterback.
Oh, Roger Starbuck.
Yep.
This is I mean, like, this is a good area, man. Sports are they're freaking really big here.
Yeah, they
Really
are.
big here. It's crazy, man. But yeah, his daughter fought. She ended up losing, but I mean, she had a record. I think she was like 2-0 or something like that at the time. And now she's 2-1. But I mean, like, she was whooping the girl's ass, and then she just got caught in a guillotine and she got tired. She was landing the big shots and she got tired, and then she started wrestling and left her head in the wrong position. She got choked.
Amateur or pro?
I couldn't tell you. I didn't look at the card.
Yeah.
I didn't look to see if it was amateur or pro. But yeah, overall though, look, Rojas Jr., man, he's a pretty big guy for the weight.
Yeah, he's
Standing next to him, I was like, holy cow, you're a pretty big guy he was, I mean, not as thick as me because I'm fat right now, but I mean, he was more muscular built.
He was solid.
I mean, he was a little bit shorter than me. I mean, he's not much shorter though. He's like 5'8", I think, 5'7", 5'8", somewhere in there. But yeah, super nice guy. Seems really down to earth. John, look, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remind everyone, hey, this episode's powered by BetUS TV. And yeah, man, let's go ahead and talk about some of those graphics there you got posted up. You have Steve Erceg and Brandon Moreno. I put this out on my tweet earlier. I said, Steve Erceg is a plus 190. Brandon Moreno is a minus 230. I'm going to take Brandon Moreno, and I'm also going to take it on the under at the 4.5 at plus 198. That's where I'm at on it. I don't know what you would think though, John, but that's kind of where I'm at.
No, that's exactly where I would. Honestly, I think it's gonna be a tough fight for Erceg, especially with where it's at altitude, under at 4.5. It's gonna be tough for him to be able to survive that long in this fight. It's a new experience. If you've never done it, never been there, it's an eye opener for fighters.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Is I would take Moreno at minus 230, and I would take the under because that's a plus 198 at 4.5. I'd take the under on that one. You got Dober and Torres, and I would say, look, you got Dober at plus 105. You got Torres at minus 125. The over is plus 142. The under is minus 170. You know, I'm gonna go with Torres on this fight. I agree with. I think the altitude is gonna be one of those things that decides this fight. I think that Torres has got the reach and the range to keep him at bay. And as the fight goes on, it'll be easier. Both of them will probably be throwing less, and that reach and range will play a factor in keeping the pace of the fight. Stay away, hit, stay away, hit. One or two shots to get you to stay away, and both will be exhausted. And it's going to end up being a pot shot fight probably by end of second round into the third with the altitude. So if I'm going by this, I'm going to probably go the over at 1.5 at plus 142. So I'm going to take Torres at minus 125, but I'm going to take the over 1.5 at plus 142.
I think the over is exactly where I would go with that one.
Yeah. So I mean, those are some good ones right there. Let's go with the last one. The last one here. Look, they obviously think Joe Pyfer is going to take this. So at minus 320, you got Gastelum at plus 261. The over is minus 2.5, minus 120, and under 2.5 is even money. I mean, I'm leaning more towards. Obviously, I'm going to go with Joe Pyfer on this one, but I'm leaning more towards the under at 2.5. Do you think he gets it done with the boxing? Does Joe Pyfer get it done with the boxing?
He absolutely could. Like, there's no doubt he's got the power to put anyone out. But how many people have put Kelvin Gastelum out?
Yeah.
So he's got a chin. He's tough as hell. He's durable. I just look at the damn altitude, and it's got me worried. I understand who Joe Pyfer is. I think he's the future. I think he is absolutely a stud. I don't know if he's ready for that altitude. And I know that I've seen Kelvin do it before. So I'm going to take Kelvin Gastelum at a plus 261 on a flyer. Flyer there. Yeah, baby. Going for the distance.
That's interesting. I mean, like, look, it makes sense. I just get concerned with guys that have great cardio. It seems like they're the ones that suffer the most.
Well,
I don't know what it is. When you get to altitude, you get to higher elevations, the ones that generally have really good cardio, the ones that hurt the most. Look, it can all go out the door just because of the
Oh,
altitude, and that's
it
the worst
can.
part about these type of fights.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I want to remind you guys, BetUS TV, powered by BetUS TV, is this show right now. This episode's powered by BetUS TV. So, Dave, what else we got for us? Let's talk about some news.
Do you want to throw it to everyone's favorite drink first?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, I do want to throw it to everyone's favorite drink. Our link is in the Bible. We use LMNT. John and I just were drinking a ton of these out there at the farm.
Thank you very much.
It's funny. Isn't it funny, though? Like my son, he's out there eating mealworms, live ones, by the way.
He was eating, dude. Your son was awesome.
He's a good kid, isn't he?
Oh, dude, he's phenomenal.
He
Your
gets it from his
your
mom.
son is absolutely. He's a hard worker. He's up for anything.
John didn't think I was a hard worker until he saw
You're
me
not.
roll a shovel around. No respect, right?
No
think
respect.
Who do you think he learned it from?
I'll tell you what. I told you that. I said you got a lot to be proud of there because you've done a great job with him, and he's representing your name very well.
He's a really good kid. I like to give his mom a lot of credit for that, but he's a good kid.
Well, I give her all the credit.
You would. It's just funny because they were out planting mushrooms, and they asked him, "You want to try to drill into the tree?" And he's like, "Yeah." He just grabbed it and started drilling right away. And they're like,
Yep.
"Oh, whoa, you know what you're doing?" He's like, "Oh, you just pull the button and push, right?" That was it. So did that, and then it was what the funniest part was is we were feeding what were we feeding the pigs? Yeah, we were feeding the pigs, and all of a sudden I see him cruising by in the side by side by himself.
Dude. Oh,
I was like, "Wait."
he's off to the races.
I was like, "What are you doing? Like, did you just take it?" And he's like, "No, Gabby said I could drive." And he's like driving by, wife's taking a video. I thought it was hilarious, man. It was so funny. We let him drive the golf cart around in our community, but it doesn't like the golf carts have because we have the lifted tires, like bigger tires on our golf cart, and so it's not as easy to steer. So I get nervous with them driving because when you try to make a turn, it doesn't turn very well. I can see them drifting into like another car or something. So
I didn't tell you the story with your son in the side by side because he's got it. When I was younger, my dad always felt that I was going to die from speed because I like speed. Your son likes speed, right? So he's in the side by side. I take him in the back pasture, and he goes, "Can I go faster?" Yeah, go faster, dude. Right? So these things going right, and he's coming up on the gate to get out, right? And there's just a fence in front of it, and I'm just waiting, right? And he's keep going fast. I go, "Kellen, if you want to stop, it's about that time." Right? And he goes all the way. He puts his foot on the brake, and now he's about 3 feet from the fence. He can't make the turn, right? And I go, "So what are we gonna do? We're gonna sit here. You're gonna back up and make that turn." Right? He backs it up. He goes, I thought I could make it. I go, "I thought you could too until you decided to keep on going fast."
Oh, geez.
He was great. He was awesome.
No, he loves it, man. He loves it. So, yeah, it's funny. Like he had a great time. He couldn't stop talking about he got to drive. The only thing that I had a problem, not a problem with, you get concerned when your kids, and because I was one of them at one time, and I started to feel comfortable doing things. And I'll give you an example. I was out playing golf for one of the second or third times ever playing golf. And my cousins I went to go play with, one was 20 something. The other one was 16, 17. And then I was somewhere around 11 or something like that. And they were letting me drive the golf cart anytime I could. So I found any reason to get in the golf cart and drive it around.
Oh yeah.
So my dumb ass started whipping it around and and thought I could fit through trees. And I hit this huge tree, not the stump, but the root. It came out and it shot me up in the air, landed the golf cart on its side, and all the golf bags go everywhere. My cousins were super pissed at me. They're like,
"Yeah, you're fucking up their clubs."
Yeah, not just their clubs. I mean, you got to pay. You got to pay for it if you fuck up the golf cart.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So they had me driving, and I think even too. I think as I recall, I believe they told them "Hey, just the adults can drive it." Because we all still we're young. My cousin was young too, and I was young, but the older one was supposed to be driving us around. So anyways, it was one of those situations. But I just thought to myself, my son really is enjoying the driving right now. And I could just see him getting a little froggy out there.
Oh, yeah.
Coffee, and all of a sudden just running into a post. I'm like, fuck. I had to pull him aside. I pulled him aside, I think right after you went with them. And I said, "Hey, I like that you're doing things, and you're able to drive and do this." I said, "But you have to remember, just because it's getting more comfortable, don't do anything stupid." Okay, be very cautious and careful with it, because these things cost a lot of money.
And I don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah, yeah. If you
I'm not
want to
worried, I'm not
wanna
worried
walk
about
home.
that. I'm not worried. The side by side can be fixed. I'm not
Yeah.
worried about that.
No, you would have walked home with a chapped ass. I'll tell you that.
He was
No,
great,
but
and your
he's a
daughter,
really good kid.
and your daughter was adorable too.
She cracks me up.
Oh man,
She's
she reminds me of my youngest granddaughter.
Mhm.
They're the same age basically. They are, dude. They're two sisters living in different states, man.
Yeah,
They are the same. They do the same thing. The dance, the gymnastics stuff and all that.
it's great.
Oh my god, it's great.
I love it. Hey,
They're on
Dave,
fire.
I have a question for you, man.
Yeah.
As Lincoln Benji, are they playing sports?
No, we're actually waiting to get Lincoln
Besides
back in the-
WWE,
Yeah. Lincoln's in a ninja thing, like the Ninja Warrior thing.
Ninja
Okay.
thing. I love-
That's
Oh, you're
awesome,
talking
man.
about those are
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Did you
then
guys like dress him up as like a ninja, and then he goes in with his nunchucks and his stars?
not quite.
Okay.
And then we're waiting to get him in baseball, and then Benji's not doing anything yet. Benji actually just finished soccer. Actually, that's a lie.
Okay.
He just finished soccer.
Why don't you throw Benji in some gymnastics?
We did it, man. I don't know. We tried it, and then we put him in soccer, and he loves soccer.
Good.
So,
Yeah, the soccer, and you know what's crazy, man, is the sports here are super cheap. Like we in our rec centers here and stuff like that. Like my
Yeah.
daughter's playing soccer and rec.
Mhm.
It's $80 for the year,
Yeah, it's crazy.
and they get like 10 to 12 games, and then they get one practice a week and 10 to 12 games. It's crazy. $80 for the season. That's pretty cool. I mean, I know like if you did that in California, it's like $250, and the coach barely ever shows up. It's like it's horrible. And the fields don't even have grass. At least here, all the fields have grass. Almost all of them have real grass too, which is nice, and it's mowed and groomed and everything. So,
Well, here they have parents volunteer to be coaches, so I was like, of course I'll volunteer. And then I show up thinking, oh, they're gonna have a schedule for me, balls, everything. I show up and they're like, all right, on you go. There's the grass.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
there's no balls.
What do I do? And so I had to go get balls. I had to come up with a schedule. I had to come up with a routine. It was
Oh wow.
yeah.
Oh, they didn't give you any balls. They should have given you at least like 6. Or 7.
They had some, so I used them, but then I had to bring my own after that.
Oh, because what they do with with my daughter's age, they say everyone has to bring their own ball and has to be what the size is that they use. So we all have our own. Like everyone has their own ball, and they all take their own ball home. So. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's great watching the kids, get their practice in. Dave, let's talk. There's one more thing I want to talk about, maybe two. It depends on what else. Go ahead, Dave.
We're gonna roll to this real quick, and then we'll be right back.
Well, there you go. There you go.
There you
Like we like to use this product element. Use the link in the descriptions. They will send you a bonus package with every purchase. You guys, this product is amazing. You can get it in the packets too. You can carry with you in your cars, and all you need is a bottle of water. Mix it in there. I like to mix it in some sparkling water. Just be careful because when you hit the sparkling water, it overflows. But yeah, so I drink half the sparkling water, put half of the packet in there, and I mix it up a little bit, let it sit around for a bit, and then I also love to have it cold. So the cans are amazing because I just put them in the fridge outside and grab one every once in a while. Right now I'm drinking the citrus. I haven't had the citrus in a while, but I also ran out of citrus a long time ago, and I hadn't gotten any new ones since.
But you tried the grapefruit here, and
Yes,
what'd you think?
Grapefruit it's not quite as good as the watermelon, but it's up there. I'd say it's number 2 for me.
No,
Yeah,
it's
grapefruit's number 1 for you.
No, I would say black cherry.
Oh, you like the
This
black
one
cherry?
here. I like this one.
Yep.
It's probably my number 1, and the grapefruit's number 2, and then watermelon.
Yeah, if you guys don't realize how well the magnesium and potassium helps you sleep, this is what the number one thing that I love to drink while we're filming our show is this is based on the fact that it does. I knock right out. Like it gets me knocked out. It also, I'll drink a little bit of a half a can or something like that before I go work out in the morning. It helps out a lot. I get the energy boost in the morning, and then at night it helps me sleep. I get more of that REM sleep. All right. Well, hey, let's you know what? There's a couple super chats. So there's one or two in here I think that we missed over there, Dave. You want to talk about that real quick?
And the Granite says, "What's poppin', players?"
Poppin'.
Trying to find the others.
Alejandro left one. He was asking me about Islam versus, I think, Sean Brady.
Do you see it? Because I'm
I don't see
scrolling
it.
through
It
now.
fell off. I think because we didn't get to it fast enough. But I believe it was, what do I think about Islam versus Sean Brady? John, why don't you answer that? What do you think about Islam versus Sean Brady?
You got to take a look and say, where is Islam strong? And it's his grappling is what is his greatest strength. What is Sean Brady's greatest strength? His grappling. They match up very well. And you're going to take a look, and physically, I think Islam might be a little bit taller, even though he's coming from the lightweight. He's not quite as thick, but he is a definite strong individual. It's so weird when you take a look at how fights could end up matching up. Islam Makhachev is so good, and people don't. I still don't think people give him the credit that he actually deserves.
No.
He's that special of a fighter. But if you're gonna ask me who's a hard matchup for him, it would be Sean Brady. Sean Brady is a person that's going to give him some problems because first off, Islam's not going to just, he's going to have to work for a takedown. It's not going to come easy. It's not going to, even the foot sweeps that he's really good with and things like that, not going to come easy against someone like Brady. And then if he gets Brady down, Brady's going to be able to stifle a lot of what he does. He's not going to fall into the arm triangles and things that Islam, loves to go to. It's just a great stylistic matchup. So if you're going to sit there and say, who's going to win, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I couldn't tell you, hey, in my opinion, this is the guy that's going to win. That style-wise would be the hardest matchup for Islam in the welterweight division right now.
Really?
I really believe that. I look and say Belal, I love Belal. In my opinion, Islam has got some things over Belal that he could take advantage of. If it was JDM, I think that
he'll destroy him.
I think that Islam has all the tools necessary to get a win against him. So when I look
what about Shavkat?
Shavkat, as far as they actually match up very well, but in my opinion, Islam's grappling is better than Shavkat's. And so, people are going to look and say, well, his Shavkat's stand-up is really good. Islam's stand-up is good. He throws a beautiful straight left. He steps outside. Because he's a southpaw, he controls, and because he's used to it, he normally controls that whose foot's to the outside. And you want your foot to the outside, so you have that down the pipe shot, and he's good at doing that. So I actually think that Islam, in my opinion, has the advantage in the Shavkat. The hardest fight for him in the welterweights right now is Sean Brady.
Yeah. I would agree with you. I'm glad it came from you first, because if I was going to say it, everyone would be like, oh, you're a homer or this and that, blah, blah, blah. I think Shavkat's probably his second hardest fight. And the reason being is because Shavkat is so tall and long. Islam is normally the taller and longer fighter when he fights guys.
Yeah.
And so he's got a big body frame. He's tall. I think he's close to 6 foot. I know he says 5'11", but I think he's closer to 6 foot. He's got long range boxing. He's got really good kicks. He's got a sneaky, fast, high head kick.
Very good high head.
Yeah, he's real good at the foot sweeps and then the clinch and all of those things. But I think that Shavkat, like I've said this about John Jones, I've said it about Anderson Silva. When they've had to fight someone that's their same length and their height and those things, it starts to give them problems because they're not used to someone being able to touch them when they were able to touch others.
Yeah.
And so I think that would give him some problems, the Shavkat fight style-wise. But I think that Islam would be able to figure it out. Grappling-wise, there's no doubt he's the better grappler than Shavkat. Wrestling wise, I don't think there's any doubt he's a better wrestler than Shavkat. Striking wise, gives me a little bit of an issue because I think Shavkat's probably a little bit faster and he's longer. So maybe I'm wrong. I haven't looked at their reach and their range yet, but Shavkat seems like the longer fighter. So that may give Islam some problems in there. The Sean Brady fight, they match up very well against each other in the grappling. The physical strength, I don't know. Islam has always been probably the number one, like probably the strongest guy I've ever grappled with. There's some other guys that were physically stronger probably, but they were also 205 pounds or, 185 pounders.
They weren't your weight class.
They were not my weight class. So it was really hard for me to judge. But I saw also Islam give those guys a run for their money and sometimes, be able to move them around pretty easily. I was thinking to myself, man, you're freakishly strong. I think I've had guys that we've trained with, like Deron Wynn goes, he's actually hands down the strongest guy I've ever grappled with is Islam.
That's saying a lot. Deron's grappled with quite a few people.
Yeah, exactly. At a very high level across the world.
Yes.
I look at the Sean Brady and Islam fight. It makes for a very fun fight. I think Sean maybe has the advantage on the feet because he throws with bad intentions and he comes right at you. If he fights Islam the same way he fought Leon, that would give maybe Islam some problems. Just wouldn't even bother, like move my head offline and throw big strikes. I thought a couple times that Leon and Sean clashed heads. I don't know if they did. It just seemed like they did in the way their bodies kind of hit first. But if you fight, I feel like if Sean fights Islam that way in terms of the exchanges, I mean, Islam is not someone that likes to move backwards. He'll circle left and right. But if he's able to catch him with something, it could be a rough night, and then he's fighting from behind in that situation. But in the grappling, Sean Brady, the styles are very similar. I'm not sure about the abilities. Like Islam's body frame works really well for the sweeps. He's able to elevate or sweep and lift up and get back up to his knees and work to the wrestling positions pretty damn well. I just haven't seen enough of Sean Brady on bottom to say whether if Islam took him down on how well he'd be able to get back up. And when it comes to arming guillotines and chokes, shit, I don't think I've ever met anyone that submitted Islam that way inside the room. So I've never seen anyone get him in a guillotine. I've never seen anyone get him in an arming guillotine. Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it. So I wonder, I maybe Kimura, but it really just comes down to how strong Sean Brady really is. I've never grappled with Sean Brady. I've heard that he's freakishly strong. Yep. And it sure looked like that when he had control of Leon on the ground. I was like, holy shit, like he's not moving anywhere. Right. So I just know that there's levels to the grappling. Islam is another level than Leon. So that makes for a very fun, entertaining fight, though, I think. In terms of JDM, I think he is able to walk through him. No disrespect to JDM. He'll have some problems, I think, Islam will on the feet.
Styles.
Yeah, if it hits the ground, which I think is exactly where they would take that fight. One thing that Habib and Javier and those guys do is they game plan. They do a really good job. This is our game plan. We stick to our game plan and we finish it. I think the JDM fight would be very much like the Charles Oliveira fight. Stand a little bit, get the takedown, or get the takedown, drop you or hurt you, or maybe even potentially get the takedown and just go right to the side control, get to the side choke, go to the Kimura, get your back, whatever it is. But let's go ahead and we're going to talk about Cain Velasquez and his scenario, his sentencing yesterday. From what I understand, so what they did is they gave him 5 years in prison. 3 years, because that's how long he's been on house arrest, is basically time served. Yeah. So they're kind of leaving him close to that 2-year mark. From what I understand, the judge basically after the sentencing
was almost in tears.
Yeah. Yes. So. Very true. He had wrote out some stuff and basically had talked about it and he had mentioned that it was a very unfortunate situation and he's a good person in the community, and it bothered him that Cain would have to go through this. But this is literally the judge's hands were tied.
Sure,
this is the least amount. This is the least sentence he could give him.
The DA wanted 30 years.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I don't gotta say. I mean, like, I would think everyone fucking agrees. What a piece of shit. Like, why are you chasing that? You're chasing that because it's Cain Velasquez's name. You want to make a name for yourself. You can say, I put Cain in jail. Why? What? It just baffles me, John. Our system is so fucking broken. So broken.
It's this is one of those, look, I was a police officer for 23 years. When I came on the, police department, everything was about learning how, to utilize the law to the, to the advantage of what it did best for the citizens. Sometimes that's taking people freedom away because they need to be away from everyone because they're a problem. But when as you go, the one thing you learn as a police officer, if you're smart, is that black and white is the only thing that's black and white is the car, because the law and the letters of the law, which are written in black and white, it's not about what's written, it's the gray in between that you're able to figure out what should be done and why. And I look at this and first off, Cain was wrong. I'm going to say it.
He said it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He was wrong, and he hurt somebody that he didn't mean to hurt, didn't want to hurt him, wanted to hurt somebody else in the car. But, he went and did something that he shouldn't have done. I don't blame him for it. I would do the same. And, I think any father that doesn't have the ability in some way to say, I could be pushed to that, is lying, or you're not a good father, because anybody can be pushed to what he did. It's wrong. And in some way you have to be punished. I give nothing but props to the judge for being smart, for looking at this situation, for having someone that has never been arrested besides this, has been a good person in the community, has helped police departments throughout, the Northern California area and stuff. And you do what you can do. Cain served, inside, the county jail for over 8 months. He was under house arrest, having to wear a monitor on his ankle and stuff for, now it's been up to 3 years. He's gonna get basically a year of time. He's gonna, serve a year. He's, as long as everything goes smooth for him, he's gonna get that other year. Is gonna be, time served based upon, he's gonna get half. And so he's gonna end up having to spend a year away from his family. That sucks. But it's the best thing to get him past this incident, to let him move on with his life once he does that time. I hate seeing him go to jail, but get it over with and just move on with your life and get back to your family. And the best of luck to you, Cain.
Yeah, I had wrote something on my Instagram and basically just said, like, over the years, I've learned a lot from him just by watching him. And one thing I can say is he won't be broken. Like, jail's not going to do anything to him.
No.
Not only will it not do anything to him, I mean, most people have talked about it. I've seen also too, myself just being in jail, I've seen how they treat pedophiles in there. And I see how they in these situations, they're going to look at Cain and go, man, you're a good dude.
Yeah.
So that being said, they understand. People know what the reasons are that he's in there. And even when he was in for those 10 months or 8, 9, 10 months or whatever he was in for, I have friends that work in the correctional office, and they're like, we see him every day. He's like the nicest guy. Not only that, he's loved by everybody inside the jail, not just because he's a San Jose local.
Now you're putting him in a gang. He's a San Jose local.
No, but not only because he's a San Jose local, he's a very humble guy, a very good person, just a great guy, man. Like, I can't say enough about him. I could sit here and give him all the props and everything like that. But the bottom line is, the things that led up to this point, I want people to understand. They reported this person. He was arrested, checked himself in. They basically let him out with no bail the next day. Cain found out and went down there and basically found him and chased him around with a gun. And he shouldn't have done that. We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
He did it. What he did was he did it recklessly too. He drove on a high-speed chase through the roads, on the highway, off the highway, and so forth, so on. And what drives me crazy though, John, is after all of this was done, they know there's several other kids that have been sexually assaulted by this guy. And the sad part is that there's parents out there that know their child's been sexually assaulted and they wouldn't come forward. They were still in that daycare and they were sexually assaulted 50, 60, 80 times. And those parents, because of their ego, they want to move on with their life as if it didn't happen. That's why this whole thing has drug out so long for this guy to be prosecuted or to get his court date. Is Cain kept dragging his out in hopes that this guy would be found guilty beforehand, so then they could try to use that to adjust his sentencing. I'm glad the judge saw through all of that and sentenced him to the least amount of time he possibly could. I'm glad that he did that. But the bottom line is I had this conversation today with two other guys, Rich Chow being one of them, and the conversation was about how parents, you have to remember your child looks up to you and wants everything from you, and the number one they want from you is your love and protection. And you let them down. Like if you don't, I'm not saying you should do what Cain did, but what I am saying is that you need to speak up for your child in these situations. You can't, like, that's how resentment later on in life, you knew and you didn't do anything about it. You didn't prosecute this person. You didn't try to have him arrested. There's several families that are not stepping up because they didn't want to put their kids on the same docket as Cain and his son, which then hurts the case. This is something that, like, don't let your ego as a parent get in the way. And it's really upsetting to me that they want to pretend like it didn't happen to their kid, and it did.
You can pretend all you want. In the end, I say this all the time to everyone. It's like Josh, people, you can sit there and they can beat their chest and they can do all these things no matter what it is, if they're a fighter or if they're anything, or if you're a parent that allowed something to occur and then you just brush it aside like it'll go away. It'll never go away, because every time you look in the mirror, you know exactly what you're looking at. And like I said, Cain was wrong, but I don't blame him. I'd have done the same thing.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people, that's the sad part, is everyone, a lot of guys, they'll say I would have done the same thing. But when it comes down to it, I've just talked about how these dads and these mothers are pretending like as if it never happened. And I want people to understand, if you don't do something about it, it's going to
happen to somebody else.
20 more other kids. And I was having this conversation today about why people are pedophiles is because they lack no empathy for anybody else. They don't realize the pain that they're causing to somebody else. They're only looking for their self-gratification. And when they can't register that and process that, it means that they'll never stop. And so if you don't do something about it by stepping up and pressing charges and going through the process, they're going to keep doing it. Your child will not be the last one. It doesn't just go away after they touch your child. They do it to more and more other kids. So that's the part that's really bothering me a lot. Do I love Cain to death? Yes. He's probably one of my closest friends in the whole gym that I've had over the years. I love him. He's a great person. If anyone ever said anything wrong about him or bad about him, I'd say it's obviously you. It's not him. So like I've had people that have been like, oh, he's kind of a jerk, this and that. No, it's you. I know 100% it's you. Why? Because you didn't sign your poster or your picture or whatever. Like, it's obviously you. So bottom line is he's a great person. He's always been a family man. He's loved his kids to the fullest. Like they don't go without. Like it's everything he can do to make sure that his kids he's always with his son. He's always with his daughter. The one place that he felt like they would be safe, this daycare, was a place that was like a pretty well-known daycare in the area. Lots of other people had taken their kids there. I think they was like on a big 4-acre ranch or 3-acre ranch or something like that. And the sad part is that this 40-year-old son that lived with the parents that owned it, had him living there, that it sounded like, from what I understand, that they knew he was doing this. And they just didn't care because they couldn't kick their son out. Like right now, they're still sticking up for their son until all the speeches and stuff they were giving. My son's going to be vindicated. There's multiple children that have come forward and some that haven't, but they should. And so I'm hoping this all comes out, because I've had friends go in and take pictures of the place because they put it up for sale. The place where his son's restroom was and bathroom was, where all the DNA was, where he sexually assaulted these kids, has all been gutted. They took the floors out. They took the drywall out. They took the bathroom and the tub, everything out, and they remodeled the whole facility. Where his room was and where his bathroom was, they remodeled that all. Only that part of the house got remodeled. Why would that happen, John? It just doesn't make any sense to me on why we are not. Why is he still out after 3 years? Why is it taking so long for him to be taken it to court. What is this process? And he got out without bail. There's a lot more to this, and that's the most frustrating part to me is why is he out with no bail? How many kids has he been able to touch? They moved out of the town, so no one knows who he is. How many kids has he been able to molest and touch since then? We should be asking ourselves that question.
Well, the whole thing comes down to this: who are you supposed to protect?
Yeah,
those that can't protect themselves, right? That's kids.
So. Absolutely. But look, I think at the end of the day, this is a very we got the best possible outcome we could have got. That we could have asked for is what we got.
Well, we remember we talked about this when it first happened. And I said, look, he's gonna do some time. There's just no way they're gonna let it go without anything.
And I was in denial. I was in denial, telling you like
this is the best thing that could have happened as far as it's now. Get it out of the way. He's already served a lot of time, and it's going to be a short amount of time that he's away.
I do want to say something though, as I saw the list of people that wrote letters, and I just want to say thank you. You know, it's rough. Like it was crazy to see. Like, I mean, there was like Dana wrote letters, all the guys from AK wrote letters, but it was just really good to see how much support he had. So it meant a lot. We're gonna obviously. I think, Dave, is there anything else before I get emotional?
Yeah.
What do you mean before?
I can lighten the mood a little bit here with Joe Rogan's comments on not attending UFC 315. He says, I won't be at UFC 315. I don't go to Canada anymore. I'd rather go to Russia. Anyway, that's just the prelude to what I actually wanted to get into with Joe Rogan to get your thoughts on.
Okay.
Damn, Joe's starting a little bit of a battle.
I know, right? So Rogan comes out and talks about the headline here is Joe Rogan reveals huge mistake UFC and Dana White are making. He goes on to talk about how he thinks it was a mistake to go into power slap and where he thinks they should have gone into kickboxing. I'll read it off for you. I think the UFC fucked up when they went in with slap fighting. I've been telling them forever, you guys should get into kickboxing. If you only like stand-up fights, it's not like the old days of kickboxing where they were boring. The knockouts are fucking crazy. Kickboxing with MMA gloves in a cage would be huge. Just have a striking only segment of the UFC. Glory's got some elite fighters. Oh, it keeps jumping. I watch Glory all the time. It's fucking exciting, but nobody's watching it. Nobody knows who these people are. I wanted to get your thoughts on that take.
I think both things could be the same. I think they could be right. Like they can still have slap fighting. Let's not pretend like as if they're selling out 30,000 seat arenas and it's costing them a ton of money. They're hiring guys at the Barstool that are making $2,500 to get knocked the fuck out. Like, let's not pretend like these guys are making $1 million of a slap fight competition. Now I know they've got some people, like I'm sure Paige Van Zant's making a little bit more money than some other people, but let's not pretend like they're getting paid a lot of money. Secondly, I would 100% agree. Having a kickboxing franchise or product that they can put onto their UFC Fight Pass or put alongside, whatever events that they have. And I agree 100% that you put MMA gloves on. Stop using the bigger gloves, make them fight with MMA gloves. You've got more knockouts, and the fighters are now used to using MMA gloves. And so if there's ever any fights you want to cross promote, you can bring a guy over from kickboxing. If he wants to learn how to wrestle a little bit, he wants to learn the submission game, you can bring him on over and they can fight somebody. I mean, let's be honest. There's guys that we would love to see in kickboxing that have no MMA real experience, but we can throw them in there with a Poetan. We can throw them in there every once in a while with an Izzy or somebody along those lines. They don't do a lot of wrestling and a lot of grappling.
I look at it as, the whole thing that you're saying. Joe doesn't like the slap. I don't like the slap. And the reason I don't like it is there's no skill involved. To sit there and say that there's skill involved, there's really not. You either, there's some guys that are tough. I'm not going to say Dumpling, I know is one. I've watched him before from Russia. The big Hawaiian, dude, he takes a hell of a shot, but you can only do it for so long because there is no defense, and you're going to end up being compromised based upon it. You're always going to have the smaller women. They're going to be able to do it longer based upon they're just not taking as big a blow. But, I said it from the beginning, and I'll say it now. Dana's doing this because he's going to sell it. He's going to make money off of it, and good for him. He's a businessman. That's what you do. I would love to see Dana do exactly what Joe was talking about. I would love to see him, help kickboxing, change some rules, change some things up, and make it exciting, make them go, more than 3 rounds at times, 5-round fights, 7-round fights, 10-round fights, whatever. But you can make it really exciting. And there's some great athletes out there in the kickboxing world. So I agree with Joe. I would rather just see them do the, kickboxing than the slap. They're going to have the slap until, they sell it. But it's really not, slap is owned by Dana. It's not owned by the UFC. So, he promotes it through the UFC, which is smart.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you look and you go, yeah, I would love to see the kickboxing and doing it exactly like you're saying. Get rid of the big mitts, and it's time to frickin' put MMA gloves on them. You want to do it in a cage, you can do it in a cage. That way you can do it along with, MMA fights too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they'd ever mix the product with the UFC, and I don't think they should.
No, they won't.
But look, let's be honest. You could eventually have the grappling in the like how Karate Combat's doing that. You could have your grappling and your kickboxing in that same type of format.
Sure.
How Karate Combat is, and you have the grappling inside. I think it works out perfectly. So if you do that, I've noticed also too, a lot of gyms now are building their gyms where instead of having wall mats, they're having the incline on the sides. Takes up a little bit more room, but then you don't have to worry about them putting holes in your wall. Because how many times do you fucking I had to fix my wall? I don't know how many damn times. People's heels hit it, their head.
Mirrors or walls.
Yeah. So, John, there's a referees program going on here the week before International Fight Week in Las Vegas at the Extreme Coutures. Why don't you walk us through it? It's MMAreferee.com, MMAreferee.com. You got your command course. Talk to us.
The command course is set up to get people, interested in MMA, showing them exactly what it takes to be a judge, a referee. We have the judging course. We have a referee and judging hybrid course, or we have just the informational fantasy camp. If you're the person that loves the sport, wants to learn more about it, but doesn't want to have to take a test or know everything with every submission, that's the way for you to do it, is the fantasy camp aspect of it. Done at Extreme Coutures. It's February 20th through the 22nd. Excuse me, what did I say? February? June 20th through the 22nd. Jesus Christ. And it's an experience where we will have a lot of people that you see that are referees right now in, the big fights, people that are judges in the big fights. They're there to help you. It's not just me. I'm just there to answer the questions when it comes to things from the past, since I'm an old guy.
Well, there you go. If you guys feel like you can be a ref, sign up for that at MMAreferee.com. Hey, also, this show is brought to you by BetUSTV.com. And for more sports content, go to BetUSTV.com. Also, follow them on X or on BetUSTV there as well, is available there. And also, you can follow them on Instagram too. And let's go ahead and use that link down below for Element. Use that link down below for Element. Get an extra box of content. What did I say?
Extra box of content.
You'll get an extra package. You get a bonus package, I should say. A bonus package. I got a couple of bonus packages, John. You know.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Hey. Of Element. If you use the link down below in our descriptions, I'll pick up some product, man. It's great. Try the packets or try the sparkling. I enjoy the sparkling because it's easy to grab on the go. I like to have it in a can. And man, that's everything. Go to WayneandMerch.com, pick up some of our apparel, our gear, our apparel. Check it all out. And thank you guys so much for continuing to sponsor us to work with us and support us. John, you got anything else, buddy?
Nope. For everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. Hope you had fun, and we will see you.